Hi, I'm Kate Bogg from One of Many Lanterns. Today I want to make a little floral Beltane snack, or maybe more than one, who's to know. The concept is using agar powder, or kanten, to make a gelatin-like snack that will be infused with either violets or maybe sakura or matcha, depending on how the violets go. All right, let's get started. Kanten or agar is made from seaweed, and it gels up. It's a vegan gelatin alternative. The way you make it is by adding 1 to 1.5% of the powder to water and then bringing that up to a boil for 1 to 2 minutes and then letting that cool in your molds. The first thing I have to do is obviously collect just a bunch of violets. I've got a very wet backyard and it used to be very shady, so I'll go out now and go pick some. Then I have to make a violet infusion. I actually did this yesterday, or Monday. Here we are. I just put all of the violets that I gathered that day into a jar and added boiling water and let it steep until today. It's this beautiful blue color, and like hydrangeas, like butterfly pea flower, and like hyacinths, it is a pH indicator. So it's this beautiful blue color now, but if it gets any acid in it, I'm thinking of adding a little bit of vinegar. It'll turn purple and then eventually very pretty pink. Please ignore my dirty dishes. I've got my baking scale here, my pot. There we go. That is 428 grams. So that's gonna mean I'm using 4.2 grams of the kanten. That's 4 grams, perfect. And now really quick before I boil it, that doesn't really have much of a flavor. That makes sense because wild violets aren't a particularly robust flavor. They're not like the stuff that is used to make crème de violette. However, I have these violet candies. So I'm just gonna crush a couple of these and add that. Now, as expected, that is making this a little less crystal clear. I think when I make the matcha, I'll try not to add anything that'll impede, because I love the clarity of kanten. That tastes better. I want a little more, and then I want some sugar, because these little mints have a lot more of that violet flavor. That smells a whole lot better, a whole lot more floral. Now I got some sugar, and I toss it on the stove. Now we just wait. While I wait for everything to boil up, I'm going to remove the green section from these violets. These are going to be used as a little like insert. I'm going to sprinkle some of these petals in the mold before I even pour the agar in. I'm going to place some of these, maybe some of these flowers whole up top. Just add a little extra spice. Like I said, these don't have much flavor, which means, pleasantly, they don't have a bad flavor. I'm hoping to do something similar to this project. Agar kanten treat with flowers several times as the season wears on and different flowers start to bloom. Obviously this with rose petals would bang. Obviously this with lavender would be really good. Maybe one day I will make Like I'll get some dried lavender and some grape hyacinth and this violet and maybe some lilacs and really just go to town and make the most purple floral treat. All right, here we have it. It's almost done. I've managed to clarify it somewhat by pulling off these little chalky bits that have floated to the surface. There was a lot of chalk, but I think she's ready. We've got violet petals here in the casserole dish. I had to set the camera aside for a second because it's too hard to film with one hand and pour with the other. Kanten has a very high melting point, so this should solidify up really quickly. And then I will add the remainders along with more petals because I want this as floral as possible. Okay, so I pulled this out of the fridge. It is still only like half full, but you can see hard. So I'm gonna add more flower petals and I'm going to reheat this because this got hard. Here we are. They're out of the fridge. It wasn't actually that long, maybe 15 minutes for the second, no, not even 5 minutes for the second layer. But we have that nice depth. Oh, it fucking separated. Fuck. Okay. So we're gonna put everything back, and then we're gonna microwave it. It just fucking cleaved on the seam where the two sections hit. I was hoping that the heat of the second layer going on would melt the top of the first layer just enough. Obviously, it did not. Okay, so after the disaster, I cut the failed candy and into tiny little pieces, tossed it in the microwave until it was all liquid again, and tossed it back in the fridge, which means I've lost some of the definition. Like, you can tell that these petals have been cooked and beaten around a little bit, but I have it back. I do, in fact, have complete pieces. We're not in as dramatic of like two sheets. So now I'm going to cut these into little crystal shapes. And that's me making floral kanten, floral agar jellies. This is, I think, gonna be like a staple of mine for Beltane, obviously, but for summer solstice, maybe spring equinox, depending on how early various flowers bloom. These jelly candies have a very refreshing texture. You could probably toss them into your lemonade and have them as fun texture. Tell me if you make any of these on your own. Tell me what beautiful flowers you're using to make your floral Beltane kanten, and tell me how you're improving your version of the recipe. Happy Beltane and blessed be.